The room was tense, every inch of it filled with the metallic scent of sweat and discipline. Rows of Marines in perfectly pressed uniforms stood at attention, their expressions unreadable, their hands trembling slightly despite the rigorous training that should have instilled steel-like control. At the center, Colonel James Whitman, a grizzled veteran of countless operations, scanned the squad with an intensity that made even seasoned soldiers uneasy. His eyes, sharp and unforgiving, finally settled on Lieutenant Sarah Donovan, the newest officer to make a name for herself in special operations. Sarah, a Navy SEAL by training, but now temporarily assigned to this Marine unit for joint exercises, stood rigid, her jaw set, her dark hair tied neatly in a bun. She had been briefed to report on their tactical operations, but what she had just revealed moments ago seemed to have crossed a line in the eyes of some senior officers. The disclosure had been brief, factual, and entirely accurate, but the reaction was immediate. "Lying bitch," Whitman barked, slapping her across the face so sharply that her head snapped to the side. The sound reverberated through the room, an audible punctuation to the accusation. The Marines flinched, some gasped. It wasn't common for a Marine general to lose his temper in front of an assembled squad, especially toward a female officer, but this was different. Sarah, however, had trained for years to react in extreme situations without hesitation. The slap would have stunned a less disciplined officer. For Sarah, it was a test, a trigger for everything she had been trained to handle. She drew herself up, squared her shoulders, and met Whitman's glare with unwavering calm. Her voice, steady and controlled, cut through the tension like a knife. "Colonel Whitman," she said, her tone firm but respectful, "I'm not lying. The figures I reported are accurate. And if my reporting challenges assumptions, that's not dishonesty. It's accountability." A murmur rippled through the Marines. Many of them were trained to respect authority unquestioningly, but they had also heard whispers of Sarah's exploits. Rumors of a Navy SEAL who had completed missions deemed impossible, who had neutralized threats under conditions most would consider suicidal. She wasn't just another officer. She was a force of nature in uniform. Whitman's face twisted, his pride bruised more than anything else. "You have no idea what it means to respect hierarchy," he spat. "You think a few numbers give you the right to lecture a room full of seasoned officers." Sarah's eyes didn't waver. "Respect is earned, Colonel. Facts are not negotiable. You can't dismiss truth just because it's inconvenient." There was silence. The tension was almost unbearable, the kind that makes air thick and movements deliberate. The other Marines shifted, some uncertain whether to step in, others silently impressed by her composure. It was rare to see a Marine general publicly lose his temper, and rarer still to see someone respond without fear, without flinching. Whitman's hand twitched, almost as if he were ready to strike again, but Sarah anticipated it. Years of hand-to-hand combat training, countless missions that demanded split-second reflexes, had taught her the importance of control. She remained motionless, her gaze locked on his, the calm before the storm. "Listen, Donovan," he said, his voice lowering slightly, though still carrying authority. "I've been through more operations than you've had hot meals. Don't think for a second you can come in here and dictate what's truth." Sarah's response was measured, her words deliberate. "Colonel, I'm not here to dictate. I'm here to ensure accuracy and clarity in our reporting. Misreporting can cost lives, yours, mine, and every Marine standing in this room." For a moment, Whitman studied her, his expression a complex mixture of anger, disbelief, and begrudging respect. He had heard of SEALs being tough, but facing one directly, especially one who wouldn't yield under intimidation, was a different challenge altogether. "Do you even understand the implications of your statement?" he demanded. Sarah tilted her head slightly, her voice unwavering. "I understand them better than anyone in this room, Colonel, and that's why I reported exactly what happened." Some Marines started to whisper among themselves. It wasn't often that someone stood up to a high-ranking officer like this, yet here she was composed and precise. Her courage wasn't reckless. It was tactical, honed by years in the field where hesitation or emotion could mean the difference between life and death. Whitman's face flushed with frustration. "You're reckless," he snapped. "You're going to get someone killed with this attitude." Sarah's eyes narrowed, but her tone remained calm. "Colonel, recklessness is charging into a situation unprepared. Speaking truth is not recklessness, it's preparation. It's the difference between a successful mission and a failure. It's the difference between survival and casualty." The room seemed to hold its breath. Even the most hardened Marines felt the weight of her words. It wasn't just the truth she spoke, it was the precision, the confidence, the undeniable authority that came from experience, not rank. Whitman took a step back, his chest rising and falling rapidly. He had confronted many officers in his career, but few had faced him with such an unshakable poise. A Navy SEAL was known for being relentless, but this was different. This was a blend of intellect, courage, and tactical mastery. "Enough," he barked finally, though his voice carried less venom than before. "You think you're untouchable because of some medal or mission you were part of?" "I don't think I'm untouchable, Colonel," Sarah replied evenly. "I think I'm accountable, just like everyone in this room. And if accountability makes me stand out, so be it." Whitman's hand dropped to his side. There was a momentary silence as the words hung in the air. Some of the Marines looked at her in awe, others with cautious skepticism. But all felt the undeniable truth. Sarah Donovan was not someone to underestimate. "You've got guts," Whitman muttered, almost grudgingly. "But guts don't always translate to good judgment." Sarah's lips curled into a faint, controlled smile. "Judgment without truth is just arrogance, Colonel. Facts guide judgment. Ignoring them leads to disaster." Whitman's jaw tightened. He wanted to argue, to assert dominance, to remind everyone why rank mattered. But every instinct in him told him this wasn't a simple clash of ego. This was strategy meeting reality. And in this moment, reality was standing firmly on 2 feet, eyes locked on his. The rest of the squad shifted, some straightening their posture as if drawing inspiration from her composure. They had seen what it meant to have a SEAL in their midst. A soldier who had faced unimaginable odds, who had neutralized threats others wouldn't even approach, who had survived conditions designed to break human endurance. And now, standing calmly in front of a Marine general, she was doing what they had all been taught to admire, remaining unshakable in the face of intimidation. Whitman's voice softened, though it remained authoritative. "I'm not used to being challenged like this, Donovan. Most officers, they obey. They don't speak. Obedience without understanding is dangerous, Colonel," she said. "It's not disrespect to speak the truth. It's duty. And if we're here to protect lives, then duty must always come first." He studied her, the tension in his posture easing slightly, replaced by something harder to define. Respect, perhaps, or at least a reluctant acknowledgement that she had principles and courage beyond the ordinary. Whitman had been trained to command, to inspire through authority, but he knew instinctively that true leadership sometimes emerged from truth, not rank. "Fine," he finally said, though grudgingly. "You've made your point. But know this, I will be watching every move you make. One slip, and you'll regret it." Sarah nodded, the smallest acknowledgement of his warning. "Understood, Colonel. I expect the same scrutiny on every report and every action in this room." Whitman's expression hardened, but it was clear that the immediate battle was over. The Marines slowly relaxed, the charged atmosphere in the room diffusing slightly. Some were amazed, some intimidated, but all knew one thing. Sarah Donovan was a force to be reckoned with. Later, as the squad disbanded, several Marines approached her quietly. "That was incredible," one whispered. "I've never seen anyone stand up to him like that." "You didn't flinch," another added. "Most people would have folded under that slap." Sarah merely nodded, her calm exterior masking the fire that had always driven her. "It's not about flinching. It's about ensuring the truth is clear. That's the only way we can operate effectively and survive." The incident would be whispered about for weeks, the story of the Navy SEAL who stood firm against a Marine general spreading quietly through the ranks. But Sarah didn't care about whispers or reputations. She cared about truth, precision, and accountability. the core values that had shaped her career and saved countless lives. As she packed up her notes and prepared to leave the base, she took a deep breath. The world outside the base was unpredictable, dangerous, and full of challenges that tested every ounce of skill and courage she possessed. But in that room, she had demonstrated something that no rank or title could ever diminish: the power of unwavering truth. And as she walked out, the Marine she had left behind knew one undeniable fact: some battles weren't won with weapons or strategy, but with integrity, courage, and the kind of resolve that only a Navy SEAL could command. Before leaving the base, she pulled out her phone and recorded a short message. "If you're watching this," she said, her gaze steady, "remember to always value truth over fear and courage over intimidation. And don't forget to subscribe to Generals and Truth Stories for more real accounts of bravery and accountability in action." The camera panned over her as she walked away, the sunlight catching her hair, her posture unyielding. It was a moment that would be remembered, not for the slap, but for the unbreakable response. A lesson in leadership, courage, and the undeniable power of speaking the truth, no matter the cost.